Hey everybody, happy July. Can you believe it's been another month? I want to thank you all so much for your patience this month because I was on vacation visiting family after VidCon, and I know it took me a little while to get these videos out, so thanks for being patient and understanding, and I hope you find them helpful. There are so many questions, so we're going to jump into the first four. And that first one is, as you know, I started seeing a therapist online just under a year ago. I had regular sessions until the beginning of this year when we started titrating down as I'm doing good. Yay! We were supposed to have our last session at the end of April. She emailed me on the day letting me know that she'd have to postpone as she had a seizure and was in the ER. She wrote a few days later telling me that she was home but had a lot of doctor's appointments and stuff, but suggesting another date for us to have this last session. I emailed back letting her know that it worked for me, and then I never heard back from her. And I haven't heard from her since, in almost 2.5 months. It's really worrying me that I haven't heard from her at all, and I've emailed a few times asking how she is, but she hasn't replied. I honestly just don't know what to do. I know that boundaries are really important, but I really just want to Google her, find her on Facebook, look up the place where she works or anything to find out if she's okay. Where do I draw the line and go into like stalking? It's not really about having a final session since so much has happened since we last spoke. It'd be more like a first session. But plus the fact that I don't feel the need to be in therapy right now. But it's just that I really don't like knowing if she's okay, if that makes any sense. Like just an email saying, hey, I'm alive would completely suffice. Is this all just me being bad at boundarying, or is my concern valid? What a great question, and what a crazy situation. You're not trying to break boundaries. I don't think this has anything to do with boundaries because you're doing well and you don't actually need to be in therapy. And that was honestly like your wrap-up session, your final session. Yay, congratulations. But I think it's okay to email one more time. I think it's okay for you to actually kind of bother her a little bit. And I don't mean in the stalkery way, because that's not really what you're doing. I would honestly just email her and in the subject ask, are you alive or are you okay? And then in the email itself, just say something like, hey, haven't heard from you. Totally fine. I'm doing well. Just can you let me know that you're okay? That would be it. And I would resend that every few weeks until you get a response. And I know that can sound stalkery, but it's not really that. It's just, I totally get it. It was a relationship. And even though it's ending and you don't feel like you need to see her anymore, you still deserve to know that she's okay, since the last you heard, she was just out of the hospital and had a ton of appointments. So I would reach out and just check in, because as a therapist, even though boundaries are really important, if we're not going to be in the office or if we have to cancel, we have to tell our patients and we have to at least refer them to someone else or let them know that we're done or anything. She can't just drop you like that. So ethically and legally, it's not okay, but you just want to know she's okay. I'd keep bugging her. Question number 2. Hi, Katie. I'm going to ask for my monthly question if you could share your opinion about the complaints process for therapists. Ooh-wee. My whole issue is if I launch a complaint about her, they get my records from her. And this whole big process starts. No wonder people don't report their therapists, I liken it to reporting sexual abuse or rape. I can also write a report about her, which I've emailed them to inquire about, but it ultimately sounds like the college will literally do nothing about it anyways. I did write the college guy back and say something like, as I suspected, this sounds like an entirely subjective bureaucratic process that protects the therapist more than the clients and will result in absolutely nothing happening. But they haven't written back to me since then. This is a great question, and knock on wood, I have not had anybody file a complaint against me yet. I know that it's inevitable, that I assume it will happen. I don't know, a lot of my colleagues have had it happen for different reasons, especially because of the type of patient I tend to work with. I'm at a high likelihood for that happening, yet it hasn't, so cross your fingers. But because so many of my friends and colleagues have had this happen to them in their life, or in their work life, I guess, the process is such that you as a patient can file a complaint with the state board. So every person is licensed in their particular state. And in Canada or other parts of the UK and stuff, I'm not 100% sure how it works, but it could be like your province, it could be as a country, however your licensing board stuff works, that's how you file the complaint. Yes, you could file it through your college on its own because they're going to employ her, and that would just be like filing a complaint with them, and that would just be leaving it, because I don't know the process. Every college is going to be different. However, I would report them through the licensing board, even if they're not fully licensed yet. Once we actually register as like a intern or we're in our practicum, they have all our information, and you can still file a complaint. And if the person is an intern and still being supervised by someone else, that complaint affects their supervisor. So they take it really seriously. And so you fill out the paperwork, you send it in, And they do get your file, and I know that that sucks, and we don't want them to have it. But trust me, it's not like it's leaked everywhere. These are like little hearings and things that happen. It's not like to a huge group of people. Honestly, no one's really going to care. That's probably what they do all day long, is just deal with these things. And in essence, I honestly feel on the other side as a therapist, based on what my friends have told me, that it really hurts us. It can cost, $30,000 to $50,000 for me as a therapist to actually protect myself and defend against someone who's maybe falsely filed a complaint against me. Even if I'm found innocent, which all of my friends and colleagues have been thus far, knock on wood again, but it still costs them a ton of money. Not to mention how emotionally stressful it can be to feel like someone could take your license from you if you've done nothing wrong, by the way. This person has done something wrong because I know the history of this, but it can be really, really distressing and make it hard for us to continue working while we're going through this process. And just the last little thing I know about it is that it takes a while, that it can take time from when you file to see if they'll even take your case. And then once they'll take your case, and they have to put it, when are the court dates and when are the hearings and whatever it's called. And then they just move through it like that. But I would encourage you to file it. And I know it sucks, but I wouldn't go through the college. I'd go through the licensing board itself, because that's what they do. I know they're going to see your file and that sucks, but they do it all day long. They're not going to remember. I promise it'll be okay. Okay? Because they don't deserve to treat people if they're bad at their jobs. And the more therapists we can get weeded out that are shitty, the less likely we are to run into them when we're trying to finally reach out for help. So that's really all I know. I wish I knew more. If any of you know more, leave it in the comments. But that's kind of the process as it's been told to me. Question number 3 is, hey there, been finding the channel really helpful. Yay, so good. I'm wondering if you can speak to suicidal ideation in isolation. What treatment options besides medication exist, and how family history of suicide plays into this? First of all, we know in general that if other people in our family have certain mental illnesses or mental health struggles, that we can be more predisposed for it, meaning genetically, we already maybe have that different gene that makes us more predisposed to have, an eating disorder or a depression or whatever it may be. Okay, so we know that. Also, we're talking nature and nurture, because that's whenever we talk about, family history, I think we're talking about both things. The second is nurture. And if we see someone in our life being super depressed or attempting suicide or doing things like that that are really, hard for us to understand as children or teenagers, we can adapt to that behavior and feel like that behavior is normal. And so even though we may already be predisposed genetically, then we're like nurtured into thinking it's okay. And that gives us kind of like, we're more likely overall to struggle with suicidal ideation or depression as a whole. And truthfully, I think the best thing, there's 2 things I'll recommend for this with isolation and suicidal ideation is, number 1, get in to see a professional. I know it's hard. I know you're not going to want to. I know you're wanting to isolate and not reach out. Make the call, send the text, send the email, do it, because you deserve to feel better. And I know it feels hopeless, but you reached out to me. You can do that, right? You can message. I know you can reach out to a professional. I know you can do it, because getting the right support is so, so vital. And it's so important in your recovery. So please do it. Reach out. There are people there that can help. The crisis text line is another resource to maybe get you feeling a little bit better, to the point where then you can reach out for professional support. If you don't want to go in and see someone in person, there's BetterHelp. I've talked about them a lot. They're a great online therapy, resource. And you can text, you can do Skype, you can do all sorts of things. And that can be really, really helpful too. So there's that. Reaching out. Please, please, please. Even if you have to take yourself to the hospital, if you don't have any other options, that's at least something. And then the second thing is, once you've done that, build up your support team, meaning friends, people in groups, other Kenyans that you can talk to, family members who are safe and supportive, whatever it may be. I want you to put together a big group of people, even maybe joining a group, anything, going to a meetup group, so that you are out and you are more social. And I know that isolation makes us not want to, and that's why the first step is getting that therapy treatment. But then we're going to have to build up our other supports. And I know you said that medication isn't something you're interested in, or it isn't an option, but it always is. If you can try something, it can really help. And sometimes medication is just like a safety raft. It's a life raft to pull our head above water until we can do all the other things that I'm asking you to do, because that's why it's there. It doesn't mean you have to stay on it forever, but it is that life raft, and it should be available so that you can start to feel better and know that you're not alone. And the fourth and final question for this video is, Hey Katie, I'm so tired of putting so much of myself into other people and getting very little back. I'm rarely a priority to other people in my personal life. I don't click well with a lot of people, so it hurts a lot when I give so much and it doesn't seem to mean much. Other friends are always more important, and I'm at such a loss as to why I'm never the person someone prioritizes. I don't mind alone time, but not being important to others makes socializing hard when I'm feeling up to it. What do I do? When I read this question, I had to think about it for a while because people are assholes and we can never control what other people do. But what can we control? What we do. Those friends sound like assholes. I know that people can't prioritize us all the time and they have their own shit going on, and we have a life, maybe kids, we have jobs, but friends should be people who you can count on. And if you're putting energy in, they have to be putting energy in as well. Relationships are like bank accounts. You both have to make deposits in order to make withdrawals. If they're not depositing anything into the relationship, then they shouldn't be able to ask you for anything. There's nothing there for them to take. And I know that sounds really harsh, but friends prioritize friends. And it needs to be balanced too. It's not that we're doing 50-50. I don't want you like keeping track. That's not what I mean. But like even in my relationship with my girlfriends, like if they need me at a time when it might be not that convenient for me, but I do that for them, I know that I could ask them to come and do something for me that might not be convenient for them, and they'll do it because they've done it in the past and I've done that in the past. It needs to be reciprocal. You need to know you can count on them in the same way they can count on you. So consider it. Think about your relationships. Consider the people that you can actually count on when you need them. Consider how much maybe you're asking, because some of my patients have told me the things that they expect from people, and that can be a lot. And so managing your expectations, managing what you need from relationships and what you'll give to relationships so that we make sure it's balanced and healthy. But overall, people don't prioritize you. They don't deserve to be your friend. I know that there are times when we can't count on other people just because, let's say my phone is off and my friends can't get a hold of me. I'm not available 24/7, but by and large, over the years of our friendship, they know that I'm there for them and that I care, and you should have that same experience. I hope you found those answers helpful. Like I said, there were so many questions this month, so the next video is coming right at you, and I'll see you over there. Bye.